Lovely to see some familiar names come through. Good morning again, Roy, Glenys, Dion. Lovely to see you again this week. And good morning, Emily. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning. Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining me. It's going to be an interesting session of going through one of our popular tools, Checkable, which we've had plenty of our business owners and teams come through already and try it out over the last few months that we've had the tool on Digital Boost, and heard some great things about how it's helped businesses shape their online presence and enhance their websites, implement some changes and see some great results. So we're going to walk you through the tool today. Going to see if anyone else is going to come on through. We'll get started. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Amanda. I'm one of the digital specialists here at Digital Boost, and I'm joined by my colleague Emily Ragg, who is a part of the Checkable team who helped create the Checkable tool and make that journey nice and smooth for all of you wonderful business owners and users and teams to help leverage this tool and get the most out of it to enhance your online presence. So thank you again, Emily, for joining me today. You are most welcome to use the Q&A section and the chat section. Actually, on that note, I know sometimes the chat is not enabled, so I'm just going to double check that that is enabled for you all so we can all actually talk to each other. That should now be enabled. So please feel free to use that and say hello to one another and share thoughts or ask us any questions. I think someone's actually just popped something in the Q&A now. Thank you, Dion, for reminding me again. I need to make sure that that is enabled at the start of our sessions. So yeah, these sessions are a great opportunity for you to ask those questions. If you have tried Checkable before and anything that you might want to get clarified or how to use any of the different subtests within Checkable, today's the day for you to ask those questions to myself and to Emily as well, so we can figure out how you can get the most out of the wonderful diagnostic tool. So pop them in the chat or the Q&A anytime. I'll be checking both of those throughout the session. So we have a wonderful comprehensive video that we've put together that explains how Checkable works, what it can do for you, and goes through some of those key tools. So I will be sharing my screen in a little sec to go through that video, and I'll just make sure that that is, hi Roy, hi Glenys, ready to share that video. So please give me a moment while I pop that up. There we go, and share my sound and share. And please just let me know if at any point you can't hear anything or if anything isn't working. I'm just making sure the sound. Okay, I'm gonna click play.
Welcome to Checkable. Checkable is here to help you as a Kiwi business to use digital tools, reach more customers, grow your business, and increase productivity. Our Checkable journey starts with the sign-up flow, proceeds to a self-assessment, and then explores the categories and checks done. The output of all of this is a digital action plan. During the sign-up flow, you will start by completing a form with your business details. You'll then complete a one-time digital assessment with a series of targeted questions to define your current digital footprint and enable Checkable to define insights and suggestions specific to your business. As part of the assessment of your business, you'll be prompted for your business website URL. Checkable will use your URL to retrieve data from various sources and generate your business-specific Checkable dashboard. You will be asked to provide your business social media handles across various platforms. You must provide verified business accounts for each of these in order to properly assess your business social media presence. You will later be requested to grant Checkable permission to access your business social media information. Should you do so, Checkable will be able to provide even greater insight regarding social metrics. Once you access the Checkable dashboard, you'll see how mobile and desktop users currently view your website. Your top priority item, as well as the main components available on Checkable, are also displayed. Checkable does more than 40 checks. For ease of use and understanding, these have been organised in 6 categories. Each of the 6 categories deal with a different customer touchpoint. The compliance section assesses how your online footprint complies with privacy regulations. The compliance section gives you feedback on the handling of any data that makes your customer identifiable. Staying compliant protects your customers' data from website hackers, as well as creating transparency in what you plan to do with their data. It also helps limit your legal exposure.
I might just pause it there to see if there are any questions. If there's anything that's popped up and to date on the sign up process, if you haven't tried Checkable yet, you're most welcome to pop those in now. Just making sure my chat is also working so I can see all your comments. Oh, yes, cool. I see your comment, Roy, about maybe a little bit too early for Checkable for you. That is okay. Once you have published your URL and you've popped together that kind of MVP version of your website, that will be the time where you can run it through Checkable and see what the tests come back with to make some recommendations for you. There's also another question. Kayleen, I've used it. It looks updated. Can I go in again and check it in this version? Absolutely. So it will rerun when you pop back into Checkable based on your website today. So you can pop back in there and see what the tests say today with the updated tests. We do have drops every few months with new updates based on feedback or anything else. Is that correct, Emily?
Yep, that's right. So we're constantly adding new things and new features, and also, like you say, any feedback that comes through from businesses like yourself or any little bug fixes we make along the way as well. Yep.
Cool. And another question from Kathy. You've run the reports, but some are not correct, e.g. SSL certificate. The report said I didn't have one. Yep, these are absolutely known issues, and our development teams are aware of this. So thank you for pointing those out. Kathy, I might actually reach out to you personally as well, just so we can have a look individually at your account so the developers can see what might not be working there, and that'll really help us to continue to refine the tool to make sure that most of our users are having the correct experience. So thank you for pointing that out. If you don't mind, maybe just sending us through or reaching out to me at support@digitalboost.co.nz and we can have a look at your account. Awesome. And another comment from Lee. Can you return to re-enter info if you've already used Checkable? E.g. it says I don't have social media, but I do. Yep, that's absolutely fine. Currently, we do have a little bit of a moments that we're experiencing with Meta or Facebook and Instagram. So that function of Checkable isn't currently available, but we're hoping that it is something that will be resolved in the next week. So the social media part, let's put that on pause for this week, and then we can have a look at trying that again next week if that's okay. But you can absolutely re-enter your info and it will rescan your social media accounts to see if there are any suggestions.
Maybe just to add on to that, Amanda, sorry, you can go to your Digital Boost account settings page, and there's an online presence section where you can add in your social media details there as well, which will then pull through to Checkable. Or you can on the page.
I've just popped in the email that you can reach out to us on as well. If you are having any kind of strange messages, we'd love to have a look at that and see how we can help. So flick us a message and we'll look into your account. Thank you. Perfect. I will just continue to have a look at some of these remaining 6 categories of how you can get the most out of each of these.
Customer experience is the impression your customers have of your business. It is critical for revenue, building brand loyalty, and establishing and maintaining customer relationships. Become more visible to current and future customer groupings by concentrating on visibility. Visibility factors govern where you end up in search rankings, on search engines, and how visible your business profile is overall. The bottom line, visibility drives sales. The social media category enables you to understand the impact of social media posts. Armed with data regarding the performance of individual posts, business and social media managers can then tweak their posts to target the right audience for their products and services. Digital productivity tools help to reduce the day-to-day administrative effort associated with running your business. Complete the productivity tools questionnaire. This allows Checkable to suggest the productivity tools that you should consider to meet your business needs. The displayed dashboard statuses and category weightings are based on information provided during the self-assessment. The color coding provides an indication of how successful you are with the different aspects of your web presence. If you expand the main categories, you will see subcategories with icons indicating the status of each subcategory based on checked information. There are 2 types of checks to gather information: system-driven checks and checks requiring user input. Navigating within customer experience, when you click See All, Checkable will access the customer experience page. On the customer experience page, you will see content and advice related to improving customer experience. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see a table with all the subcategories for customer experience. You'll see a test description along with the status of that check. If you click on it, you'll access more detail and specific advice on how to improve the results.
Might just pause it there, and this is a good opportunity to say this is the space where you can come to see how can I actually implement some of these recommendations that tests are coming back with. So when you scroll down to that download full report button on the most of these pages, on the next steps, it will tell you what you can do. The view learning guide as well link right underneath this video is a really good place where you can see those recommendations to implement some of these actions to enhance your website further. So Claire, your comment about, I see these 2 errors that Checkable's come back with, how do I actually address them? So when you pop into the learning guide, it will tell you, okay, so how do you actually address alt text on my photos? You can go to this part of your website to add those alternative text onto your photos, depending on your website platform, for example, and canonical errors as well around SEO. So that will be about your site visibility. So I highly recommend popping onto your site visibility test page, having a look at that learning guide and seeing those recommendations. And if all else fails, pop onto Google and learn about each of these concepts. So you'll see on the learning guide, it will go through each of these specific topics within each of these categories and just go and learn up a little bit more about them, as well as watching the video on each of these sections. Anything to add there, Emily?
No, I think that's great. Yeah, I think first things first, watch the video. It gives you a really good just overview of each topic on these pages. And then absolutely, the learning guide's really helpful. It will also give you a little bit more information about the status of your website. So for example, on this page, what does the 73 mean there? What are you kind of looking at there? The learning guides also contain lots of handy links to other sites that you can go and check out too. So there's other resources and things in there as well. So definitely a great place to start to understand a little bit more about each topic.
Perfect. I might actually take this opportunity to answer further questions. I see there's a few people with hands up. So Rosalind, did you have a question that you'd like to ask? I'll allow you to unmute yourself. There you go. You can unmute yourself and ask away if you still want to.
I didn't have any questions.
Perfect. No worries. Cool. And I will just go to Roy next. I've just unmuted you. Feel free to ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
No, no questions at the moment. Did I put a question in there?
You've got your hand up.
Oh, have I really?
Yeah.
Put my hand down. Sorry. I put my hand down. Oh, I see lower hand. Sorry.
I must have missed your question earlier. I'm like, oh, what was I actually going to ask? I forgot. Cool. No worries. Feel free to, if you remember it, pop it in the chat as well. Perfect. And Danielle, your hand is up. Did you have a question? I'll just allow you to talk if you'd like to unmute and ask your question, or if you don't have a question, you lower your hand and pop it in the chat. Oh, you're good? Cool. Perfect. Awesome. All right, we will keep moving on and having a look at some of the other tests that you can have a look at on Checkable.
The desktop accessibility page provides accessibility information related to your website. Here you are able to view a full report and details on how to improve your accessibility scores. If you favourite any of the video links in Checkable, it will remain available on the rest of the Digital Boost platform. If you click on Next Steps, you will be able to see resources that are available to assist you in improving your score. The virtual guide is included in the Checkable offering. The virtual guide can be accessed by clicking on the question mark icon. The virtual guide will assist by providing contextualized information based on the user industry and user context. There are two ways to navigate the virtual guide. You can use the drop-down list or ask your own question. Checkable uses natural language processing to assist users without the need to approach a support desk. Over time, as more users interact with the virtual guide and more support queries are fed back into the system, the virtual guide becomes more powerful. Checkable presents overviews of business data in two convenient formats. On the business summary page, an overview of who you are, what you do, objectives and goals are presented. You can add your business logo, connect your accounting software, and add sections to your business summary report. Once you have made your changes, you can print the page as a downloadable PDF. You can use this snapshot of your business to present to potential investors or use if applying for funding. The Digital Action Plan summarises the results of the information gathered by Checkable in an easily accessible format. The categories shown, the category weightings, and the item display order in the Digital Action Plan is calculated dynamically and is unique for each business. The completed checks display under the completed header. Easy Business Wins provides a consolidated grouping of quick wins for your business. These are items requiring a small tweak or change with a potentially big impact. Business Essentials are aspects essential to your business online presence that will require more time and effort to complete and bear fruit. Long-term goals present the long-term goals required to improve the online presence of your business. These relate to fixes identified by Checkable that will require substantial time and effort to take effect. These changes should be done incrementally. Consult Checkable as you progress for feedback to see how you are doing with the improvements.
Cool. I'll take a moment to check in if anyone has any questions on the digital action plan, as this is that all-encompassing one summary report that a lot of users will have a look at to see, okay, what are those steps that I can take in implementing some of those changes in my website and my social media, and creating a little bit more of a understanding what will have immediate impacts on my online presence and what will take a little bit more time. So if anyone has used this digital action plan before and has any questions on that, welcome to pop those in the chat as well. And so this is your all-encompassing summary plan that you'll get that PDF document on, and that has some people are like, oh, what's my full report, what's my digital action plan? So to clarify, the digital action plan are all your steps on one report, and then the full report or detailed reports are each of those reports that you can find under each of those categories. So your site visibility reports, or your search ranking reports, or your broken link reports, or what's another good example? Your social media reports, where you could say, oh, you could post a little bit more regularly, or your Google business profile report will tell you maybe you want to put a little bit more detailed information on your profile. So each of those are your detailed or full reports off the back of the recommendations on your digital action plan. So Philippa, I see you have a question around your report. It says you don't have an about page, but I do. Yes, so there are some parts of the tests where sometimes it's not able to find certain pages on certain people's websites. If you do have that, please absolutely reach out to us so that we can, because there's so many different types of website platforms, and the way that website platforms build those different pages on websites. So we have to create quite unique coding for our Checkable tool to be able to find all these different ways that different website platforms are able to create these pages. So if you don't mind sending me a message at support@digitalboost.co.nz, we would love to have a look at how we can make sure that is accurate for you. But if you do have an about page, then cool, you can just ignore that little comment from the Checkable tool at that point. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Emily?
Yeah, I guess the digital action plan, I think, is probably one of the best parts of Checkable in terms of identifying where to begin. As you all know, there's so many things when it comes to running a business, especially to getting online. It can be a little bit overwhelming to know where to begin. So the idea about the digital action plan was just trying to break it down into more manageable chunks. And so you can see when you've completed something, it falls into the completed section. And we'd recommend usually working through the easy business wins as a starting point. And as you progress through those, the tests will get sort of more complex, maybe a bit more challenging to fix, or you might need some extra help. But that's the idea. So yeah, if you've got any feedback on how you'd like to sort of see these results, that would be great. But that's the idea, is to break down all the dozens and dozens of tests that we run and put them into some kind of manageable format and easy starting place to begin with.
Perfect. Thank you, Emily. It is a nice comprehensive report to start with, absolutely. Cool. If there aren't any more questions, I will go through the remaining part of the walkthrough and see how we go.
Each of these reports can be downloaded individually or collectively in PDF format. This will assist the business to either use the reports as a to-do list to improve their web presence themselves, present it to service providers to help them with aspects of their website, or as supporting documentation for funding proposals.
That was the end of the video. Well, that was nice and handy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can now just open the floor up to everyone here. If you do have any more specific questions on maybe what your report has come back with, if you need a little bit of help around that, you're most welcome to ask those now, and we can have a look into that. Or if you do want really, really specific help, myself and my colleague Emma, as a part of the digital specialist team, can absolutely have a look at those really specific results that you've got and where to from there. If you're finding, actually, I'm having a look at the video and the learning guide, I still don't quite understand what I need to do, we can absolutely help point you in the right direction. So I see, Dion, you've got a question around when an inquiry is submitted from our website instead of a confirmation email, you get a thank you. We will be in touch soon as possible, straight away on the screen. So are you happy with that response, that's set up? Is that good? That sounds good to me. Confirmation email or a thank you. Is that something that Checkable came back from and said, hey, do you have a confirmation email? Or at least like a pop-up box is still an acknowledgement that your message has gone through. So that's still sufficient as well. Yeah, perfect. Cool. Just reading your question, Kathy, I think it's an amazing resource and can't wait to get back to it. However, it is also very time consuming, as I suppose it should be. A great learning too. Yeah, absolutely. And we do get a lot of people that do say, gosh, there's just so many recommendations and so many things that I could do on my website or my social media that it's recommended. And we just say, look, just take your time, focus on those easy wins first, that step-by-step process of the small wins. Have you got a Google business profile? If you've got if you've got an in-person service business, for example, so that's a quick win. And then following those steps, like how can I enhance my social media? Am I posting a bit more regularly? And just allowing yourself the space to not get overwhelmed by this very long list. Just take your time. It is a lot to take in all at once. So just set yourself some goals of, okay, this week I'm going to cover off this topic that Checkable has recommended to me as my first win. Work on that, learn on that, watch the associated content around that topic, learn about that content, and that, cool, I've implemented some changes around that. And then the next week you might focus on the next topic. So just take your time, don't overwhelm yourself. Start with the quick, easy wins and work your way up to those longer term wins. Is there anything else that you would add, Emily?
No, I think you got it in one there. Yeah, it does take time to make these changes, but little bit by little bit just helps. I think another place that's quite good to look at on the Checkable dashboard is that top priority. So that's basically the easiest possible thing you can do to make a change to your digital presence. So if all else fails and everything else just looks a bit overwhelming, that top priority is the kind of the easiest thing you can do for the biggest bang for your buck, really. So that would be a good one to look at.
Cool, perfect. I just see I've got a couple of messages as well. So Philippa asks, Checkable wants to access my Google business profile and my social channels. I'm assuming that the app just reviews and cannot change anything and does not put my security at risk, i.e. Facebook and Instagram pages are being hacked. So this is a question that we are asked quite regularly, and I understand when you get that pop-up box from either Google or Meta, it says, when you are allowing permission, this third-party tool, Checkable, could have the ability to do these and these such things. Emily, did you want to expand on that?
Yeah, sure. So I think that's a really, really great question, and understandably, like, you want to make sure that your data is secure and that your customers' data is secure. Yeah, we will never do anything with your information. We will never delete anything or change anything. It's purely so that we can connect Checkable to your Google business profile or social media accounts, so we can retrieve information and pull it into our tool to display it in a way that you can get to see some metrics or to see some maybe comparison between you and other businesses on the Checkable platform. So we only require authorization so we can see where your business is at and then show you what that might mean in particular context. But yeah, we'll never change or delete or put your security at risk. Yeah. So yeah, great question.
Perfect. I've got a question from Danielle. Is there a link that you guys see with checkable results based on various cookie cutter web host providers, i.e. Wix, Weebly, that provide less desirable results? I guess what I'm trying to ask is that sometimes is it down to where we are hosting our website from? So as in, do you find better results or SEO or layouts or better enhanced websites through particular website providers? There are definitely some that are better than others, and there are some that are more specialized towards, e.g. e-commerce like Shopify. From my personal experience with business users, I find if it's your first time creating a website and you're doing this by yourself, make it as easy as possible on yourself and use reputable platforms such as Wix, for example. Wix is just a very easy website platform maker that already has some of those core essentials. Some of those, like say, for example, these days, I wouldn't recommend WordPress for absolute beginners. That is quite a big, complex and powerful website platform, and sometimes getting the layout right and getting the SEO right and how it flows can be quite difficult if this is your first time creating a website. But if you do have a little bit more experience with that and do have a little bit more knowledge around some of those essential website basics or foundational knowledge of that, then maybe some of those platforms you'll have a little bit more of an understanding of how you can make an optimal experience, I think is how I'd answer that. Anything to add to that, Emily?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Just make it simple for yourself. And if you have products that you want to sell online, then definitely go down the likes of an e-commerce site like Shopify. There's lots of really great ones where it literally is drag and drop text boxes, imagery, and a lot of those providers, Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, the likes, already cover off a lot of the things that are essentials that Checkable looks for as well, like having an about page or adding a contact form so that your customers can get in touch with you even when you're not there. So they have a lot of those sort of pre-templated things that just make it really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are someone that really wants to support New Zealand businesses and platforms as well, there are providers like Rocket Spark and Website World who are New Zealand-based businesses that are great platforms that you can explore and see what works for your business and what do you find works for you. So explore those too. Dion, I see you're getting a 404 message. If you don't mind, if you can send me a screenshot of those so we know where there might be broken links on our own platform, so we can have a look at if that's something unique to your user profile or if that's something that maybe all of our users are experiencing. We really appreciate that feedback and any bugs and glitches in the platform. This is something that we're continuing to refine and iron out any little bumps like that. So please reach out. I'll pop our email address in the chat here so we can have a look at those things. digitalboost.co.nz. Thank you. Thank you, Claire, for the comment. I think that's good advice. I'm a busy psychologist and often feel I've not enough time to upskill myself. The SEO people are so expensive. Yes, they are, and SEO does take some time. I had a good question from someone who reached out to us in the last week around why does SEO take so long? And that is when you're just starting off on your SEO journey, your search engine optimization, so that you can rank higher in Google, for example, you are competing against so many other businesses who have already been on that journey for quite a long time. So it's going to take you some time to start climbing up those ranking ladders. It can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to start seeing some results when you start implementing some of these practices on SEO in particular. So we say, start small, start little, just start incrementally putting little changes into your website, and with time you should start seeing those results, but don't overwhelm yourself. Absolutely, just little by little. good question, Philippa, around does Google prefer certain website platforms in terms of SEO? I've heard that Wix and Squarespace type sites aren't preferred and have limited SEO options compared to the likes of WordPress. I think I'd go back to what I touched on before, is that WordPress can be quite a complex and powerful website provider. So you can play a little bit more with those kinds of things. But again, it's not a beginner's platform. And I would say it's not to say that you can't put in some really good SEO practices on more beginner-friendly platforms like Wix and Squarespace. You can still implement content strategies, for example, on your website, and make sure you are using those keywords that will help to push you up in the rankings a little bit higher, and doing that competitor keyword research as well. And that's all little tips and tricks that are provided in our SEO videos as well. So I could have a look at sharing that link on Digital Boost on that particular topic. It is a topic that a lot of people ask about, because it's like, well, it doesn't cost me anything to implement SEO practices, but there's just so much to learn. So start with the Digital Boost videos and resources on that foundational knowledge, and we can absolutely start pointing you in the direction of a little bit more in-depth knowledge of those. If you want, just reach out to us on our email, support@digitalboost.co.nz.
Yeah, and I think I'd just add to that, there's a couple of pages on Checkable, if you haven't seen them already, which are really helpful for SEO. So you've got search engine results, and so you can sort of check what keywords are working and what your competitors are doing for certain keywords, and that can be a good place to start to see, oh, excuse me. It can be a good place to see what competitors are ranking really highly for certain keywords, and then you can go and Google them, stalk them, see what other kind of words that they're using that might be applicable to you, that you can then implement in your own website. So that's a good one to look at. And also the search ranking page as well, which looks at things that Google is actually looking for in SEO. So it might be things like alt text or meta descriptions, and those things you definitely can add to your platforms like Wix and Squarespace. They have places that you can add all of those SEO details. So that could be a good place to look at what changes you can make yourself. There are other things in those reports that you probably will need external help, maybe from a developer or someone that's quite tech savvy. But yeah, there are definitely things on those two pages, search ranking and search engine results on Checkable, that could be a good place to start and look into. But yeah, SEO is a huge topic in itself, and it does take time and just sort of constant update. So yeah, don't feel bad that you haven't solved it in a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably off the back of that, learn to use and understand Google Console and Google Analytics as well. So you can see, you can regularly review the results of those changes that you're making on your website, and if it's starting to bring more traffic into your website and where people are clicking, and if it's seeing some good results and you're heading in the right direction. I always like to say they're like little breadcrumbs. So follow the breadcrumbs of your results. Oh, that change saw this kind of result in my website, or change. Let's continue in the direction of what you did in that change that seems to be pointing us in the right direction. And again, all of those pages will mention how to use some of those tools at a basic level as well, so get to understand those. Perfect.
I wonder if we just jump back a little, Amanda. I saw that earlier in the chat there was a couple of questions from Kathleen and Shana that I think we might have missed.
Yep.
So Kathleen asked, it tells me to do a Google profile, which I have, not sure where the contact form should be. So for the Google profile, it might be that Checkable is asking you to connect to Google so that we can retrieve that data to display for you, if you haven't done that already. So that could be a good one. So you just click on the button and log into your Google business profile to connect it. If you have already done that and it's still saying that you don't have one, again, maybe just reach out to Amanda using that support@Digital Boost email address, and we can have a little look to see what's going on. And the contact form, I'm not sure where the contact form should be. So that is usually a page on your website, which is just a form that your customers can fill out to contact you. So it's the one where they put their name, their number, their email, and a little query, and then they submit it, and it will send you an email, and you can get back to them when you like. So that could sit anywhere on your website, but usually it will be a contact us page. That's probably where you'd usually put that. So I hope that answers that question, but let me know if not. And then Shayna's question was, I have multiple businesses. Can I run Checkable for all my businesses? So this is another question that we get quite a lot. And you can, but you will need a separate profile for each business, because there's so many tests that Checkable runs. They're just applicable to that one URL, that one website. So in order for us to make sure that the speed and the running time is fast enough, and that only you are checking it, so your competitors can't just plug your website in and check it, we have made sure that you have to have a separate Digital Boost profile for each of your businesses in order to access Checkable.
So what that means is using your business domain for each of those businesses and setting up a Digital Boost profile for each of these email addresses. So I've got one for Digital Boost, I've got one for my own personal business, I've got one for my second business, for example, such and such at companydomain.co.nz. So just set those up for each of those emails, and then you can plug in the respective business website URLs into each of those. Good question. And if there aren't any more questions, I'm just double checking the Q&A. Running from Patricia, running the test for my Google My Business is taking a long time. Is this correct? Yes, sometimes it can. It can depend on the day as well. Some days it is a little bit slower, depending on the servers and that plugin and integration into these tools. It can take some time. If you are finding that it's just not getting to, that connection is just not working, it's just taking too long, it might be worth either trying a different browser or coming back at a later time when there's maybe less load on the servers on that integration. Anything to add to that, Emily?
Yeah, no, that's it really. And maybe the only other thing to add to that is if you make any changes to your Google profile in terms of being verified by Google, sometimes that's one of the things that we look at, like has Google verified you as a business? And that's something you need to do through Google Business Profile. That can sometimes take a few days to come through. So you might not see the results in real time because Google takes several days to run through that and for it to appear online. So there are a couple of instances where just the third party might take a wee while to recognize a change, and that's why it might not update immediately on Checkable. So again, you have to come back maybe a couple of days later and refresh your page, and hopefully that data should update.
And another question from Claire, which is it worth buying more than one domain name for my website? This was a question that we actually had last week, and we'd say it depends on your target market. Say, for example, if you are only selling or providing your services to a New Zealand market, you might just have .co.nz. If you are have a global market, you might consider a .com as well, or an alternative domain like .io or .co. There are alternatives now, and those don't diminish from your international market having something that's not a .com. So yeah, I think that would consider, it depends on your target market. Cool. I think we will wrap up there. So thank you very much for the very good questions. Are all nice, good, nitty-gritty questions that I hope helps to bring value to each of your businesses. If you do want that more personalized help, do reach out to myself and my colleagues in the digital specialist team. So that's at support@digitalboost.co.nz. I see a couple of you have already reached out as well. So thank you very much for those questions. Thank you very much, Emily, for joining me today and helping to answer some of these questions on the Checkable diagnostic tool. And I hope that is bringing value to those of you who have tried it or have yet to try it. If you do have any questions, if it is your first time trying the Checkable tool, again, reach out to us and we'll be absolutely happy to assist and explain some of these or where to go next. But thank you all for joining us this morning. Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday, and we hope to see some of you again maybe on Thursday for a casual chat with myself and my colleague Emma on any questions that you might have on your business wider in your digital journey. So feel free to join us Thursday, 10 a.m. Have a wonderful day. Ka kite. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.